What's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Steve back at it again, and today I'll be showing you guys my Decompose Necro on Diablo 4. So let's dive in. Now, this build is a lot like the Penta Shadow Damage build. I've used that build with my uber unique grandfather, and I've hit up to 70 million damage. The thing about that build, it requires a lot of setup and preparation, and like this Decompose build, you're kind of counting on procs. The great thing about the Decompose is you can kind of just start your procs right away. They don't really require setup. As long as you're multicasting Decompose by clicking it over and over again, you're going to get a lot of X-File rings proc. So the main reason you use this ring is crit damage. The higher crit damage and stuff you have like that, the bigger the number. So I'm going to show you guys some target dummy practice to see what kind of numbers this build can get, and then I'm going to show you guys how it does in a Terra 100 Nightmare Dungeon. So, as you can see there, it hits usually on average between 7 to 12 million. I've seen it go upwards to about 16, 17 million. I'm sure if you min-max the build, you could do probably a bit better, because it's a lot like the Penta Shadow Damage build, but it's a little bit different. I'm going to show you guys some Nightmare Tier 100, and then we'll dive into the items, Paragon board, and all that good stuff. So let's dive in. So that was a pretty easy tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon. For most Necros, as long as you have the lidless wall and you can keep the damage going and keep your Bone Storm up 100% of the time, that's pretty well the cheat code for Necros. But as you can see, even on the boss, depending on the procs and certain things like that, it can be a fast or a slow kill. After getting a lot of procs right in a row and almost deleting tier 100 bosses. So it all depends. As you can see, the Decompose is great, especially with that legendary power that allows you to chain mobs. You get a lot of procs on your X-Files. It's fun to play. Decompose is now my favorite skill. But I'm still looking forward to Blizzard balancing most classes. Blood is still my favorite spec, or minions. And none of those specs even compete with some of these meta builds. So I'm going to dive into the Paragon board, skills and all that, so let's go. So I'm going to go over the items first. For the helmet, we used Shielding Storm, and what this does is your Bone Storm gives you a barrier. And then we use Disobedience on the armor. And for the helmet and armor, you kind of want like damage reduction, life, and armor, if you can get those. For the gloves, we use Blighted. And what this does, it increases your damage for 6 seconds after the Shadow Blight key passive. Damages enemies 10 times. I went with Critical Strike 10, attack speed, lucky hit chance. And this build is mainly about lucky hit chance, so that's something else you want to build on. And then for the pants, you could either go with Tybot's Will, or you can use just a nice pair of pants with damage reduction, armor. I like to use these because it do increase my armor a lot. I'm at 12,114 right now, and that's without my Disobedience stack. So with Disobedience, I'm up to like 15 or 16,000 armor, which is going to come in handy when the new content releases. And for the boots, we go with Greaves of Empty Tomb. The main reason I went with these is for the damage reduction from enemies affected by damage over time, and the lucky hit chance with shadow damage. And for the weapon, we put the Rotting legendary power on it, and what this does is Decompose can chain up to 2 additional targets, which is great. So it's just going to proc your X-Files ring even more. And when Decompose spawns a corpse, it has a 57% chance to spawn a corpse under all afflicted targets. So you have a chance of getting another corpse. Which is why when you're fighting bosses, just holding it down at the first, just to get those corpses up, is great. And then for the amulet, we put Grasping Veins on there, which is going to increase your damage by a lot. And the main thing you want on your amulet is the +3 to the Gloom passive. It's a huge damage increase. You definitely want it. And we also went with the new unique ring. And what's great about this ring, I have a perfect lucky hit roll, which is 13.5% chance lucky hit. And the fact that it auto casts corpses. And the next ring, we have X-Files. This is the whole point of the build. This is just great overall. Gives lucky hit chance, cooldown reduction, $39 stats, and the proc does major damage. This is just a 10 out of 10 ring altogether. And for this shield, we went with the lidless wall because, as if any Necro knows, this is going to keep you alive 90% of the time. Most Nightmare dungeons, you can almost have 100% uptime on this, and if not, by the time it runs out, you'll have your Bone Storm back up. So this is a must-have for most Necro builds. And that's it for the items, and we're going to dive into the Paragon board. Now this Paragon board is same as the Penta shadow damage build. The first glyph we're going to go with is Sacrificial. Then we're going to come up here and we're going to take Wither, but we're not going to get the legendary node. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to take Abyssal. And we're going to get some nodes around here. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to take Flesh Eater. And then we used Gravekeeper. And then we're going to come up here and then we took Scent of Death. And then we took Imbiber. And then we're going to come over here. You take Bloodbath. We're not going to get the node, but we're going to use the glyph, and we're going to use Essence. There's going to be a lot of critical damage right here. And then we come up here and we take Bone Graft, but we just go for the glyph, and we're going to go with Exploit for percent damage, vulnerable damage. Just great overall. Quickly go over the skill tree too. We're going to put 1 point into Decompose, 1 into Enhanced, and 1 into Acolytes Decomposed. So what this does is also you and your minions deal 10% increased damage to enemies who are being decomposed. Now I just put some points in here. Sometimes I like to switch things out and use Blight. It is not needed. But we're going to put 3 points into Hewed Flesh. And then we're going to come down here, put Max Out Corpse Explosion, Enhanced Corpse Explosion, and then Blighted. And then I took Blood Mist and Enhanced and then Ghastly to create corpses. And now I put the remaining of my points into Blood Mist. You don't have to, it's totally up to you. Then I put 1 point into Grim Harvest and 3 points into Fueled by Death. And then 3 points in Amplify Damage, 1 into Decrep, and then 1 into Abhorrent Decrepify to reduce the cooldowns. And then we come down here and put 1 point into Corpse Tendrils, Enhanced, and then Plagued Corpse Tendrils to make enemies vulnerable. Then we put 1 point into Reaper's Pursuit, and then 3 into Gloom. This is where the amulet comes in handy when you get a +3 to Gloom amulet. So what this says is when you damage enemies with darkness skills, which is like your Corpse Explosion, your Decompose, they take 12% times increased shadow damage from you and your minions for 2 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So 3 times 12 is 36%, which is a huge multiplier. And then we put 3 into Terror and 3 into Crippling Darkness. Then we come down here, put 1 into Bone Storm, 1 into Prime, and 1 into Supreme. And we also put 3 into Standalone and 3 into Memento Mori. And then we put 1 into Shadow Blight. And that's pretty well it. I'll quickly go over the vampiric powers. We're going to take Undying because your unique ring is auto-casting corpses, which also this works with Undying. So you're always getting healed and you're always casting Decompose over and over. So you're getting a lot of health back. And we take Metamorphosis because this is one of the best ways for Necros to get unstoppable. And like I said, you can use this with Tybot's Will. It's a great thing that goes together. And we're going to take Sanguine Brace. This is great overall for Fortify. And when you are fortified, it increases your crit damage, which crit chance, which we want when we want our X-Files to proc. Then we're going to take Domination. You just deal 24% increased damage to pretty well CC'd enemies. And we take Prey on the Weak because you deal 16% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. And enemies are vulnerable while affected by Vampiric Curse, which is just a plus altogether. And that's pretty well it. I would suggest you guys try out the build. It's a great bit of fun. I love Decompose. There are some few bugs with it, so hopefully Blizzard gets it all ironed out. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.